All right, today we are starting 6.3 rational exponents. So we are going to be changing from a letter with an exponent, which is rational, which looks like a fraction, to a radical expression. So you'll have the generic base of m over n. So m is your power, so like your exponent. And the n is your root. So you remember your root is what goes inside the little radical checkbox. So I can rewrite this as a radical a with the power of m, and then your root is outside. So same thing, power, root. You could also see it written like this with your radical, your root is outside, and then sometimes the power will be the whole thing. These are the same thing, okay? It just depends on what the root and the power are as to how we want to write it. So we're gonna go both directions. We're gonna start with rational expressions or rational exponents and turn them into a radical, and then the second half will go backwards, okay? So your directions would say something like rewrite using a radical. And then of course you always try to simplify. So example number 1, if I have negative 125 to the power of 1/3. So your power is on top, your root is in the denominator. So really this is the third root or cube root of a negative 125 to the power of 1. But of course we never write anything to the power of 1. Since this is just a number, I can actually simplify. So if I needed to, I'd have 5 times 25 and then 5 times 5. So I have the cube root of 5 times 5 times 5. Since my negative is inside, my negative can come outside because it's a cube root, an odd root. Since I need a group of 3, that's what I'll have. So my final answer for this particular problem would just be -5. So example number 2 says 6x squared y to the 1/5. So I could use exponent problems, or excuse me, exponent rules and multiply this, like distribute it. But since it's all to the 1/5, we'll just rewrite it as the same thing. So the denominator is my root. So I have the 5th root of 6x squared y. And since it's to the power of 1, it's just everything's to the power of 1. There's only one of them. 6 can't break down, x squared, I can't take any groups of 5 out, so this would be my final answer. I rewrote it as a radical. Okay. All right, so let's go to number 3. Number 3 says 2x plus 5 to the 3/2. So that would equal square root. We'd never write the 2. You can, I won't take off, but just know that on any real test, the 2 would never be there, okay? Because a square root, it's understood it's a 2. Then I have 2x plus 5 to the power of 3. Now, what does that mean? That means I have 3 of these. So really, that says 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5. And since it's a square root, I need groups of 2. So 2 of them can come out, 2x plus 5. So what would my final answer say? My final answer would say 2x plus 5 on the outside with a square root of 2x plus 5 on the inside. Got 2 more and then we'll go the other way. So number 4 says 16 to the 3/2. So what does that mean? This means that I have the square root of 16 So you can write it two ways. I have the square root of 16, all of it cubed, or I have the square root of 16 cubed. Now, I would do it this way on this particular problem because I know the square root of 16. If I take 16 cubed, that's going to give me a pretty big number I'm going to have to break down. But I do know the square root of 16. So the square root of 16 is just 4. 4 cubed is 64. So if you wanted to do it this other way, you could. You would have to find the cube root of 16, and then you would have to break it down with a lot of numbers. But you should end up getting the same answer. Okay. All right, last one like this, number 5. It's going to say 47y to the 3/5. So I'm just going to rewrite it. 5, the 5th root of 47y, and I can write the 3 inside, or I could write the 5th root of 47y all to the 3rd power. Both of these answers would be accepted. One's not better than the other because I need a 5th root. Well, I can't take the 5th root of 47. I can't take any root of 47. And I also can't take, even if I have 3 y's, I can't take 5 of them out. So both of these would be considered a proper answer. Okay. Now we're going to do part 2. We're going to go backwards. We're going to go the other way. So example number 6. Oops, let me write directions. Rewrite using rational exponents. Okay. Rewrite using rational exponents. Make sure you understand the directions because these are going to be directions on your quiz and on your test. They're going to ask you very specific things. So make sure you understand rational exponent means I need a fraction in my exponent. So number 6, move this down just so we have room. Number 6 says the 5th root of 13ab. Well, this has no exponent. There's nothing, there's no power. I can make it a power, or I just understand that when there's nothing there, it's a 1. So this would be written as 13ab in parentheses because it all has to stick together. It has a root of 5, and since there's no power, it's a power of 1. So that would be my final answer. Number 7 says the 7th root of xy squared over 17. So I'm going to take everything in my radical and I'm going to write it as one thing in parentheses. So xy squared over 17. My root was 7. And then since there's nothing, no power, no square, nothing outside, then it would just be a 1/7. Okay, so let's look at number 8, one more, and then we're gonna make it one level harder. So if I have the 4th root of 13xy to the 9th power. So what's inside is my 13xy. I have a root of 4 and a power of 9. So I have 13xy to the 9/4. Okay. So the last set we could have would say directions that say rewrite using positive exponents. And of course, we always simplify if possible. Why positive exponents? Because we don't like negative exponents, and because negative exponent tells you it goes in a specific part of your fraction. So number 9 says 36 to the negative 1/2. Oops, 36 to the negative 1/2. Okay, so first of all, the first thing I need to know is the negative tells me that it moves the side of the fraction. So it's no longer in the numerator. Right now, 36 is in the numerator. There's no fraction. So how I could really rewrite this would tell me 1 over 36 to the 1/2, because my negative fraction, my negative exponent tells me to move either from the numerator to denominator or denominator to numerator. Now, what does a 1/2 mean? That means 1 over, the 1/2 is a square root of 36. Since it's to the power of 1, it's just that. And so what is the square root of 36? The square root of 36 is 6. So I have 1/6. Okay. Number 10 is going to look a little tricky. You got to understand what the problem's telling you. So this says 7 parentheses xy to the negative 4/7. Now, the negative 4/7 only goes to what's in the parentheses. This 7 out here is kind of all by itself. It's multiplying by this, but the exponent's only touching the parentheses. So how could I rewrite this? Well, my 7 has a positive exponent. It's like there's an imaginary 1 here. So that 7 will stay in the numerator. Since my xy is in parentheses and has a negative exponent, that will move to the denominator. So I'll have an xy with now a power of 4/7. And then I just need to rewrite the denominator with my, no, we're not rewriting as a radical. Sorry, we do not want radicals in the denominator. So if I rewrite it, it would give me a radical in the denominator. I don't want that. So this is what we will leave as our answer. So let me show you what I mean by that though. If I rewrote this, it would say the 7th root of xy to the 4th. You can't have a radical in the denominator. We're going to learn how to get rid of this next week, but we don't want this right now. So is this correct? Technically, yes, it's the same exact thing, but we don't want this because you don't want a radical in the denominator. Why could we put a radical in this denominator? Because I knew the square root of 36 could give me a whole number. There's no longer a radical. Okay. All right, last one, and then you can get started on your practice. I have 16 to the negative 3/4. So I see a negative fraction. So I'm going to rewrite this 1 over 16 to the 3/4. Okay, well, let's look and see if I can try to simplify this. So I have 1 over the 4th root of 16 cubed. Well, 16 does break down 2 times 8, 2 times 4, and 2 times 2. And as we've done in the previous days, since this is a 4th root, I need 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can take out the number 2. So I have 1 over 2 to the power of 3. Well, 2 to the power of 3 is 8. So I have 1/8. This is just going to take a lot of practice of whether I make it into a radical to get a number or I leave it as an exponent, okay? You have practice in Delta Math. This is 6.3. This should be listed under 6.3, day 1. Tomorrow, we are going to make them a little bit more challenging and actually simplify a lot more than what we've done today.